Hello, everybody. Arx is here with another episode of One Man Podcast, and that one man is obviously me. What a surprise! It's been a while when I did this, and I probably do want another one because I doing this only if I have some topic which I want to spend a lot of time. I want to talk about things. And this time, as you can probably tell, it's the Overwatch. Oh yeah, Overwatch. If I open my internet browser and I have my homepage and I have some like a little everyday news from gaming industry, and I noticed one thing since Overwatch was released. Basically every day there is at least one line dedicated to Overwatch. And when I move from my homepage and I usually go to YouTube and check my subscriptions and see which new videos are released. And it's also almost every day at least one video just dedicated to Overwatch. Sometimes even more than one. This Overwatch here, Overwatch there, Overwatch everywhere. It feels like some people act almost like Overwatch is only thing which matter right now. Like it is some sort of second come of Christ or whatever. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kinda annoyed by this. It's really annoying. So I'm doing this video to in my attempt to please people calm down, stop freak out, and talk about something else than Overwatch because this may be shocking for some people, but I don't think show Overwatch actually deserve this. Overwatch, okay, Overwatch is not necessarily bad game because Blizzard is known for having really high standard for their games. And Overwatch is definitely a game who hold that standard. It's good game, it's above average, but it's just that. It's good. I don't understand why people are talking about this all time because Overwatch it's not bad game, it's above average, but it's ridiculously overhyped. And I'm kinda annoyed by this. I actually don't blaming Overwatch itself. I'm blaming people who talking about it, make videos. I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, there are some people who give Overwatch like rating, like value 10 out of 10. Why? Overwatch is good, but it's not that good. And I'm pretty sure somebody can right now say, hey, this is only matter of opinions. It's subjective. And you know what? You're wrong. There is something which is defined by personal preferences, but something like this is not. I give you a really simple example. So push your brain on a higher level because this will be a little complicated, but I try explain this much easier as possible. So first, let's talking about let's say bananas. You know, everybody like bananas. They are delicious and they are also yellow. Do you think the fact that bananas are yellow it's a matter of opinions? No, they are just yellow. You cannot deny this. This is simple fact. And why, how this is linked to Overwatch is really simple. If you give game 10 out of 10 when Overwatch have these ratings, then that's basically your maximum score, which mean it's a perfection. It's a game who receive score so high it cannot be higher. It's maximum score and it is perfection. And perfection is not something which is defined by opinions, just like color of the banana. It's something which is defined by logic. this is something which is forged for very like a very like existence and definition of perfection, or 10 out of 10 if you like, is if something is so good it is impossible make it better. But at the same time, there are no flaws, no single flaws. If there is one single flaw, no matter how small this flaw is, it's no longer perfection. And it's no longer can have like 10 out of 10 or 100 out of 100 or whatever scale you're using. And there is definitely no perfection with the Overwatch. Because there is still room for improvement. You can add more weapons, more heroes, more maps, more gaming modes. And there are definitely some flaws because despite the people freak out and saying how awesome Overwatch is, there is also lots of people who complaining who don't like this character or that character. So Overwatch is definitely not perfect and it don't deserve maximum value. Okay then, so can you give Overwatch and instead of 10 out of 10, you can give it a 9? I don't think so. Because here is the thing. I think Overwatch is being a good game. It's just good. It's just slightly above average. I personally give Overwatch, and I want to say right now, I actually don't play Overwatch. I don't actually don't own Overwatch, but I see videos, lots of them, because it is pretty much impossible to avoid how many videos are there. So I know really well what Overwatch is about, and I play a little more, little like Team Fortress, but just a little only for purpose of testing because these games just are not my cup of tea. I can understand why people like it, but they are not good game for me. So if I be really generous, I give Overwatch about 6.5 and that is really generous. Because honestly, I don't think Overwatch is that much innovative game. Because basically everything which is in Overwatch, everything which Overwatch do, I see all of these things already in a different game, and some games do it even better. Do you wanna see FPS with the skills and special abilities? Okay, no problem. You can play any game in Bioshock series, or how about Dishonored? These games doing similar thing even better than Overwatch. And don't and that is if I restrict myself only with FPS games. If I don't restrict myself, then you can find out there is many other games which have really similar concept and do basically same thing for a really really long time. Like games like Heroes of Storm, League of Legends, Dota, and many other similar games. Basically, only difference between these two games are there are different gaming modes and they are not FPS, but on a very basic level they do the same thing. And you have tons of heroes, tons of special abilities. So name one thing which Overwatch did and nobody else did before. You can do it. Because there is no such a thing. There is no reason like praise Overwatch like some sort of savior of FPS. And I think somebody actually used this thing, which is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. First and most importantly, FPS don't need saving. Okay, there is lots of good games. Like recently been released New Doom, and far as I noticed, it's people like it. There is actually plan of releasing Dishonored 2, which by the way has also special abilities. Lots of them. And it looks really good. I definitely buy this game. Well, if my computer is good enough, but that's story for another time. Um, yeah, so I'm really annoyed by this fact and don't like if people use these ridiculously overhyped statements and they treat Overwatch like something mind blowing, which everybody see, and there is no reason like talking about every day. Like, come on, what's wrong with you people? There are so many other games. Overwatch is not like only thing which matter. And to be honest, I think only reason why people talk about Overwatch so much and play it so much. There are only two reasons. Only two reasons why Overwatch has so much spotlight right now. It's new and it's Blizzard. That's it. There is no any other reason. Because Blizzard is a company which create these really successful games. Warcraft franchise, Starcraft franchise, and Diablo. And because of that, they become insanely famous. Like insanely. They are treated like gods. Except they are not. They screw sometimes. Because they are still humans. And because they are so insanely famous, then people like freak out about Overwatch insanely. And they don't stop. And I'm really annoyed by this. Because Overwatch really don't deserve that much hype. So let me repeat myself. I don't think Overwatch is bad game. I just saying it's insanely overhyped. Insanely. So calm down, stop freak out and stop doing this because it's really annoying. I wanna see on my YouTube channel, I mean in my subscriptions and other places, just all things which involve gaming, not just Overwatch. Do you wanna see another reason why Overwatch is so overhyped? I can give you one. So there is this one YouTube channel. I can give you exactly few uh, examples because uh, all Blizzard have this ability make their games really, what's the word which I'm looking for? Seductive? I guess that's the word. So, do you remember when I say I used to play just a little bit of Team Fortress? And I stopped because I realized it's not a good game for me. And for same reason, I even don't start to play Overwatch. Still, even me, I feel this illogical, pointless desire go and play Overwatch. Even if I know the game is not for me. Even if I know it's very game which is really similar to Team Fortress, which I tried and don't like it. Still, I have this itch, which I just want to play it for no reason, and I don't even know why. I don't know how Blizzard do it, but somehow they are able to make their games seductive. There's no way how I can describe this. But I give you more examples, okay? There is this one YouTube channel, which is called Risicle. And they have this like playlist which is called Story You Never Knew. And they basically give you like a story about some gaming franchise, and talk about this stuff and like how a game become and they do this kind of thing. So if I open one of their videos, then yes, so I find videos story you never knew about one of my favorite game, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. A video was released in 2014. So now it's a 16, and Sonic have 25 anniversary, which means this video is 2 years old. Which means when this video was released, that mean Sonic franchise was 23 years old when this video was released. It was successful long franchise which cover lots of game and it's so successful, even when it's 23 years old, still there are new games and new games are planned. This is how successful this videos is franchise is. And thus they make a story about basically history of Sonic the Hedgehog. So again, you probably ask, how is this connected to Overwatch? Well, I tell you how. They actually released exactly same video, story you never knew, about Overwatch. And the video was released this year, despite the fact, like, they saying story you never know, despite the fact that basically is no story. And on top of that, they released video while Overwatch was barely released, and there's still bugs today. Game is not even completely polished, and they, for some reason, feel the need make its own video. There is not even franchise. It's just one game. It's just been barely released, and there is still some bugs and stuff, and it's not even like polished, and even didn't stand the test of time, which is one of the most difficult tests for any video game. So this is really important thing, which I think is really nice demonstration how much Overwatch is seductive and how much motivates people. But the fact that Overwatch is seductive or addictive doesn't mean it's necessarily absolutely good. It's really not. And I'm really frustrated by this. I mean, really, like, annoyed by this, and I hate this so much. I'm gonna. So I decided, like, throw some dirt on Overwatch and point at some its flaws and things which I don't think they are that much awesome. So yeah, let's do this. But first, give me a sec because I actually want some water. Because my mouth getting dry and it's really hot here. Yeah, much better. Okay, so if you really like Overwatch, then go away right now because I be complaining and I be ranting about Overwatch a lot actually. The for purpose of balance this insane hype and make people realize Overwatch is really much less impressive than you can judge from review and stuff. So yeah, so first there is one thing which is really obvious, and that is comparison, which is pretty much impossible to avoid. How Overwatch doing compared to Team Fortress? Obviously, these two games are really similar, if not exactly same. And people can, like, especially people who like Overwatch more, like pointing few things and saying what everything Overwatch did better than Team Fortress. So one thing which is first you can say Overwatch have better visuals, which I think it's not true because first and most importantly, Overwatch and Team Fortress they have different art style, which mean you really can't judge the visuals. Team Fortress purposely choose this really simple, cartoony like look for probably for sake to being simple and being easy like realize who is who. So technically yes, Overwatch have more detailed characters and higher resolution and all these cool looking visual effects, but the visual comparing them visually is not fair because they have different art style and it's something which is it is something which unlike the thing which I told before, this is about preferences. and subjective thing. Do you like the simplistic style of Team Fortress, or do you like something which is a little more realistic, like Overwatch? So, in terms of visuals, there is basically no competition because there is no better or worse. There is just different. Um, so one thing which people like saying a lot, it's Overwatch is better because I have more characters, which is absolutely not true. Because less is sometimes more, and let me give you example. With more characters, it's much more difficult make make them feel different. You have more characters in Overwatch, but differences between the characters are relatively small, and um, especially if they are in the same class. Like you have these class, how they are called, support, offense, defense, or something like this. I don't remember. I can find out if I go on internet, but I don't think it's necessary. But if you have characters which are part of the same class, then despite the fact there are, I believe, four characters, these characters feels really similar because they are same type of character, which means their fighting style and role in the game it's similar, which mean they also have really similar, similar gaming style. So even if there is lots of characters, then it's much more difficult to make any noticeable differences between those characters, especially if they belong in the same uh, class. Another thing which I can say like two characters disadvantage actually is the fact if you have game like Overwatch, then absolutely key element of this game is make things balance. The game like this must be perfectly balanced, which is absolutely necessary because otherwise there will be no fair. And with more characters, it's much more difficult to make sure game is balanced. I mean, good example is a StarCraft. Before StarCraft, there are many real-time strategies, but the StarCraft did something which nobody dared to do before StarCraft, and that is they bring not two but three factions, and each one have is completely different. They have some unique mechanics and some specific things. If you play for Zerg, then all your units and all your buildings regenerate. But at the same time, they can be created only on creep, and they have if they want to increase the limit, they make all overlords, and they can fly. But at the same time, they can work as a transporter, which is really big benefit for Zerg. But at the same time, Terrans have their own tricks as well. And same with the Protoss. So you have three factions and they are very different. But the Blizzard did a really good job to balance them, and it's take like really long time. And first StarCraft being game, which is pretty much over 10 years old, was been basically polished so much it's almost reached state of perfection. Almost. It's never reached state of perfection because I think this is impossible. But it is really damn close. And that's three factions. In Overwatch, there is 16 characters, and make sure they are all polished and balanced, which is something which is really difficult to do, especially if you have so many characters. That if Blizzard decide add even more characters over time, which honestly I think what they do, because eventually, eventually, people realize Overwatch really isn't that much big deal and move on, which is something which Blizzard don't want. They want to keep playing people. I mean, if you don't believe me, then check about this most biggest and successful factory for money, which is made also by Blizzard, and that is World of Warcraft. They, there was a time where World of Warcraft was have like I believe 11 million people subscribing. Like I don't know how big the subscription is, but multiply this number by um, price which people paying for this, and you can realize how insanely uh, rich Blizzard must be just from this. But even if this, even a franchise which is so insanely popular and successful as World of Warcraft, even this franchise started over time slowly losing people. I mean, it's a still a most successful MMO today, but it's not nearly as big as used to be. And this game is huge. There's so many things which you can do with this game. There's so many places which you can go, so many quests and things. And compare the World of Warcraft, Overwatch is a relatively small game compared to World of Warcraft. And even if World of Warcraft is much bigger, still people's over time start leaving, which mean same thing happen with Overwatch eventually. It's something which will happen. It is only a matter of time, which mean Blizzard definitely need to add new things, new classes, new maps, new mods. They otherwise people just go and leave and nobody ever remember Overwatch. Then again, people who already buy Overwatch, they already generate money for Blizzard. So even if they go and leave, then Blizzard they still have their money. So good for them. But yeah, having more characters is not necessarily advantage. It's actually complicate things. And another thing, there's one thing which actually is really beneficial for Team Fortress over Overwatch, and that is the game have much lower requirements for playing, which means you can play it even on really old PCs, which is something which you cannot do with Overwatch because requirements are much higher here. And let's be honest here, like having nice visuals is nice, but did visuals really matter? Because honestly, I know some games which looks amazing, and I mean like really amazing, but they are so boring. So visuals is something which really don't necessarily make good game, and I don't think Overwatch can be praised for something such as visuals. Um, okay, there's few more things which I think which missing with Overwatch, and there's actually there's actually one thing, and that is kind of I guess double-edged sword, as that is basically Overwatch is team-based only, which may not look like, but it is actually big flaw which can cause some problems, and I think I can explain what these are. I need to stop this recording for a moment because I noticed if I record too long, there's this weird deformation of my voice, so I need to stop and cut this record for two parts. So let me do this and then I will continue. Okay, I did necessary steps, drink some water, and I'm ready to continue. So Where I was. Oh yes. So Overwatch is a game which is really focused on team-based play, which is in a way a little disadvantage because the game is basically based on characters which are specifically team-based. They need help each other. You have characters, especially for from support type, which are healers or giving other players a buff and stuff. That's nice, but this mechanic, same time, create a little problem. So, and that problem is basically there is no like solo playing style. So these old school like multiplayer games. I specifically don't play these too much, but there is one game which I used to play a lot, and that is Unreal Tournament. And I really love these old school gaming modes like Deathmatch, uh, Last Man Standing, Capture the Flag, and many of these modes which are available in this game. But unfortunately, there is no any of these game with Overwatch. I mean, technically, some modes can be added, such as for example, capture the flag or domination, or you can do like just team deathmatch. But you cannot do normal deathmatch. Why? Because if you do, there will be some characters would be pretty much impossible play. Which can some characters be like completely screwed because the base how the characters are made, they're made the way they cooperate each other. But playing by yourself, where you basically don't have anybody to heal you or give you a buff, it's just you against everyone else. These modes are pretty much impossible to do in Overwatch, and I think that's actually bad thing. Because I personally like these modes. They were really fun to do. Like having team based, okay, why not? Having team based gameplay, it's nice, but sometimes these games such as deathmatch can be really fun because how incredibly chaotic they are. There's like everybody trying to kill everyone, and it just like absolute mayhem. And this is something which you basically can do in Overwatch. At least not with all characters. And like I said, I really like these mods, and fact they are not in Overwatch is for me the reason don't buy Overwatch. Because I like these mods, and that's the problem with the game, which is so much focused on team gameplay. There is actually one thing which is really disappointing, and that is basically absence of story mode, which is something which Blizzard eventually can do. I don't know. That's hard to tell right now, but I personally am. Here is the thing: I'm not too big for multiplayer based in general, because first and most importantly, I don't have that many friends. So I usually, when I play, for example, StarCraft, then single player campaign was like absolute blast for me. Like there is some competitive modes and whatever. I didn't play these and I don't even care about them. Like I like story and this kind of stuff. And it's Overwatch is not yet. This is something which may change in future, but right now it's not here. Okay, there is another thing which I wanna talk if Overwatch was involved, and that is characters because Blizzard is really good with making interesting characters, and Overwatch is not exceptions because characters in Overwatch are one thing which even I like a lot. Well, some of them, because there are some others which I don't like too much. So if I give Blizzard credits for something which they did well, they are characters, and surprisingly, most characters which I like the most are basically all females because that makes sense. Because even if gaming is something which is no longer just for guys, and there's more and more girls which who playing video games. Let's be honest here. Still, most of the players, and especially with the games like Overwatch and action games in general, most of them are guys. Let's be honest here. And if there is something which guys like, that's big guns and hot girls. So what's better than big guns and hot girls? Obviously, hot girls who using big guns. This thing always work. I mean, look about successful series such as Tomb Raider or Metroid. There's are always these tough, confident women who are not like, oh, I don't know, I don't wanna sound like a douchebag and doing some really ridiculous stereotypic impression and try imitate what girls do because not like there is anything bad about this because they do what they do because they are girls and that's how they was born, so I don't judging them. That's what they do. But the point is these females in video games, they are not like them. They are more like a they behave more like guys, except they are hot girls and they shoot a lot. So, like I said, this combination, like hot girls and big guns, it's usually working really well, and Overwatch is not the exception. Speaking of girls, do you know what game which I want if be the game based on Overwatch? Overwatch visual novel. Give me that. If such a game exists, I buy this crap like you have no idea how quickly. That will be awesome. Like being able, like take like Tracer or Diva on a date. Hell yes. I'm pretty sure many guys. Well, no, I actually don't know how many guys who playing Overwatch also playing visual novels, but I personally playing visual novels probably much more than um, Overwatch. Well, because I don't play Overwatch at all, but yeah, that's the story for another time. Anyway, so yeah, characters. I do some like most characters, but not all of them because there is some characters which I really don't like at all. There are some characters which are generic or make no sense or just really awkward. So let's focus about them. Um, so one thing which I wanna do here is actually find the find the page. What is it? Is it here? Yeah, I think it's here. Okay. So Overwatch. Okay, here it is. Heroes. So let's talk about heroes, which I don't like. Like first, I really like pretty much all females here. I think Diva is my most favorite, but I like pretty much all females. There's the only female which I don't like is how's the name? Zaira? Am I reading this correctly? Yes, because she really looks. more like a guy with pink hair. Let's be honest here. But all others are pretty much okay. So one character which I don't necessarily saying I don't like it. It's Solar 76 because he feels like this really boring, really generic, really boring, very generic Doom guy, which is like embodiment of any nameless like Doom guy in every first person shooter in history. I don't think he's bad, he's just incredibly boring and generic, and he's actually painfully generic. Like, yeah, he is a guy and he's a soldier and he shoot things. Oh, how original. Except there's like 50 other games which doing exactly same guy. Except they look different. So let's give him a white hair and scar on his face and this mask so he looks more badass. Except he's not. There is another character which is basically almost exactly as generic and boring, and that is McCree. Because he is just a cowboy. That's it. There's nothing really interesting about him. At least, unlike Solar 76, he is at least a cowboy. So if you really like Western movies, then you probably can like this guy, which to me, I'm really not too big with the Western movies, so I don't really care. But yeah, so these guys are not necessarily bad. They just feels really generic. So let's move to characters which I don't like too much. And first is Zenyatta because I really don't understand like Zenyatta. Like he is this character who is his robot, and yet he like have this weird look. He looks like some sort of Buddhist monks or whatever. Except he is a robot. What the hell? I mean, okay, you have a robot who can heal people. So why do you try imitate something Buddhistic? Because this really don't make sense. Because he is freaking robot. It's not any spiritualism or whatever. What I'm saying here, this is something which really like his really like style in terms of like impression and the fact he is a robot kind of make no sense. It's really confusing here. Um, okay, then we have another character which I really don't like, and then Junkrat. I have no idea what's Junkrat's deal. He's ugly and boring. You know, did you know if you play like RPG and there's these this type of enemies which are usually all over the place. They usually don't have any special abilities or they are not necessarily strong. There's just a lot of them, and only purpose of their existence is to fill the space between little more interesting enemies, right? They're pretty much in every RPG. And Junkrat, he really looks like one of them. I really don't understand what's his deal, so or what he's supposed to be. Like his design is ridiculous, and I have no idea what I supposed to like think about him. And another characters which actually kind of make me laugh a lot actually is Lucio because Lucio or how it's name pronounced correctly, I don't know, I don't care. He is the guy with rollerblades and he healing. I believe he is a healer. Others, well, actually can check if he can heal. Let me see. Whoa. Oh yes, he can actually heal people. Which I think it's kind of ridiculous because we have a guy who like healing people with music. What the hell? What a nonsense. I mean, he looks like really, really ridiculous, and he using like his music to do stuff. I mean, think about it. If you compare Lucio or whatever his name is, the other characters, then he looks absolutely ridiculous. You have this badass, threatening individuals like Reinhardt. He's actually really, really scary. Or Genji or Reaper. I mean, Soldier is more intimidating. Even if he looks generic, he still looks relatively scary. We have a Bastion who can transform in the freaking tank, and then it's Lucio. He's like, oh, don't come too close to me, or else I music on you. Oh yes, how very threatening. He music on his enemies. I mean, this is something which is so ridiculous, and it's working only because it's a video game. Like Lucio is absolutely ridiculous as a character. So as I said, I like characters of the Overwatch. Some of them, others are really like ridiculous. McCree and Solar 66 feels incredibly generic. Bastion may be threatening, but he really missing any sort of personality or something. Reinhardt is pretty much same thing. What else? Yeah, so characters which I really don't like are Junkrat and Lucio because they feels like really they are just ridiculous. I don't know what I supposed to think about them, and Zenyatta is basically same thing. Like characters which I like most are definitely Diva, Widowmaker, Tracer May. As I said, most of the females. Mercy Symmetry looks also good. From male characters, Genji looks bad. Reaper is kind of ridiculous, but at least he looks scary looking. Hanzo is good. Auburn is look like a draw. Even I believe one of his line is "I'm not a draw," which is kind of ridiculous because he's really obviously draw. And on top of that, his ultimate power is Molten Core, which is really obvious, like reference on World of Warcraft because I know there's area which is called Molten Core. I believe it's area. Reinhardt is a little weird, but overall it looks good. Winston is interesting character. Oh, I don't know what I supposed to think about him. Well, he actually can be three males. We don't know. Maybe it's the same thing like Pyro in Team Fortress because the mask. So under that mask can be. Oh wait a minute. He actually. Did he actually? No, 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 no. He is definitely not female because if he have no breasts, so it is definitely he. Okay, my mistake. So yeah, characters. As I said, the main characters feels unique and different. With so many characters, it's a little different. I mean, offense. There's one, two, three, four, five, six characters which are offense. They feel all really similar. Defense, that's also five. Tank and support. So why there is only four support characters? All other category have five. Defense have actually six. Defense and offense have a six, but there is only five tanks and only four support. What the hell? Well, maybe they don't want to make more because, as I said, it is really difficult. So yeah, there's actually probably more things which I can say about Overwatch, but I think I make my point here, and I don't want to make this necessarily longer than it's necessary. So let me repeat myself again. I don't think Overwatch is a bad game. It's not. It's a good game, but it's just good. It's just slightly above average. Despite the fact it's really don't bring anything super new on table, because there is many games we do something similar or sometimes even better. I think the biggest problem with Overwatch, it's not Overwatch itself. It's a people who don't stop freak out about Overwatch. They constantly like talking about releasing videos, saying it's the best game of all times. It's not. It's really not. It's just slight above average, and I think it's crazy overhyped this game. So please, people, calm down, stop freak out, and stop this nonsense because it's really ridiculous and it's really not the point to do such a thing. So please stop this. I really want to see some other things on YouTube and all over the internet than just Overwatch. Please. It's really awkward and you acting like Overwatch is only thing which have is matter to play, but eventually eventually people have enough of Overwatch and eventually they do realize it's not such a big deal and maybe they humbly return back to Team Fortress because Team Fortress exists much longer and it's because of that it's much more polished. So yes, on one side in Team Fortress you don't have these cool abilities and flashy visuals, but at the same time game is much more polished. So I think if I supposed to judge between these two games, I'd probably go with the Team Fortress. If not any other reason, just avoid the Overwatch because if I supposed to, I actually a few times think about buying Overwatch, but I was annoyed by people like constantly talking about so much. At a point, these people who like freaking about Overwatch so much totally kill any interest for me to play the game. I'm really annoyed by Overwatch, and on top of that, it's not even Overwatch fault. It's a fault of these people who just never shut up about freaking Overwatch. So please stop this. It's awkward. It's pointless. And Overwatch is a good game, but it's not awesome game. It's not best game of the all time. It's just slightly above average, and it's don't do anything which we didn't see already. So please stop this. Okay, so that was a lot of complaining here. I probably do one more one man podcast because there's another topic which I want to cover. And then next time we probably talk about anime because there's few things which I talk about anime. So yeah. So thanks for your time. If you have any sorts of like, if you don't think I'm wrong or I do think I say something which is not true, feel free and leave some comments. This is what they are here after all. And yeah, so I'm done. And as always, thanks for your time. If you've been able to stick with me for such a long time, and I will see you later.